Recycling can have a number of benefits. It gives items a second life while saving some valuable landfill space.
But it comes at a hefty price, too. And tonight, we start a new series to compare the costs of recycling to that of the landfill. Once a week, you get this wake-up call. The trucks roar by and you've done your part. You've recycled. But at what cost? We asked Fayetteville Environmental Director Peter Niergarten.
The recycling is more expensive to collect than trash is because of the way we collect. It's more labor intensive.
The city of Fayetteville sorts your items curbside and then brings it all back here to be baled and sold.
All of the revenues that are collected from rates and from the sale of recyclables go in to help offset the costs associated with operations.
Those costs for Fayetteville add up to more than $2.6 million for recycling alone. That's according to the 2019 operating budget. For the first half of the year, it collected 3,100 tons of recyclables. But the city gets some of that money back. All this material here is worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to the city, and they say that's one of the biggest benefits when comparing the cost of recycling versus waste, because they can turn this into profit, whereas otherwise they'd be throwing it into the landfill and using up some valuable space there. Even so, some economists, like Duke University professor Michael Munger, are concerned about other costs.
By expensive, I don't mean money. I mean the use of diesel fuel or gasoline fuel to power trucks that harm the environment.
He's talking about environmental costs. You clean your recyclables with warm water, the truck takes it to the recycling center, and then more trucks take the materials all over the country. These are just some of the end markets that Fayetteville uses. He said all the emissions created from that process are worse on the environment than simply throwing the item away, at least for some items.
Aluminum cans should almost always be recycled.
That's because of the amount of energy it takes to make new aluminum. Other items depend on the economies of scale.
If you can get clean recyclables at scale, it always makes sense to recycle.
Then there's the question of how much the materials are worth.
I think we should look at prices. Economists are always going to say that you look at prices.
We looked, and prices are significantly down, partly because China no longer buys most recyclables, and now the market's flooded with supplies. In 2018, the Benton County Solid Waste District brought in more than $106,000 from sale of recyclables. This year, it's expecting $75,000 in sales. That's because some prices are plummeting. A ton of cardboard last year was worth $105. This year, it's worth $40.
It certainly affected the economics of recycling and the cost recovery that we see for the commodities that we collect, process, bale, and then resell.
But it doesn't make a lot of sense for the city to constantly change its recycling habits based on the market.
As you try to design a program that is sustainable through peaks and valleys of markets, you can't untrain and retrain your customer base every time your markets change.
So they will weather the storm, hoping those markets rebound.
The city has long-term plans to try and eventually double the amount that is recycled. For a list of items that you can recycle, head on over to our website, nwahomepage.com.
Even though recycling is more expensive up front, landfills come with costs too, especially in the long run. We're going to break those down for you tomorrow night in part 2 of our series.